Everybody, I'll be calling the meeting for the McKinleyville Community Services District Board of Directors to order for the March 1st, for the March 1st, 2023 meeting at Azalea Hall and also on Zoom. For a little bit of housekeeping before we get going with the meeting and do the roll and the pledge is I want to acknowledge that Director Mayo is remote, and it's Director Mayo's responsibility to declare if there's anybody over 18 participating at your remote location.
Right. So let me respond to that. I told everybody at Aqua, and I posted a little handmade deal at my the desk at the hotel I'm staying at. And I let a lot of people know, and there's nobody that was interested in participating. So I'm here by myself.
Thank you. With that, April, would you please call the roll?
Director Bender,
Here.
Director Beitman,
Here.
Director Couch,
Here.
Director Mayo,
Over there.
and President Orsini.
Thank you. Director Beitman, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Need a flag.
To the flag of the United States of America
And
and to the republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with
justice and
liberty and justice for all.
Additions or changes to the agenda. Items may be added to the agenda in accordance with section 54954.2B2 of the Government Code Brown Act upon a determination by 2/3 of the votes of the members of the legislative body present at the time of the meeting, or if less than 2/3 of the members are present, a unanimous vote of those members that are present. Need to take immediate action. The item must need to be immediate action, and the need for the action come to the attention of the McKinleyville Community Services District after the agenda was posted. Are there any additions to the agenda?
We have no additions to the agenda.
Thank you. I'm looking for a motion. Thank you. And a second? All right, so we have a motion and a second. So could you call the roll, please, April?
Director Bender,
Yes.
Director Beitman,
Yes.
Director Couch, Director Mayo,
Yes.
President Orsini.
Here, yes. No closed session. So there's closed sessions are at any time the regular session, the board may adjourn to closed session. There's no closed session scheduled for this meeting. Public hearings are items of quasi judicial or legislative nature. There are no public hearings for this meeting. Public comment and written communications. Any person may address the board at this time upon any subject not identified on this agenda, but within the jurisdiction of McKinleyville Community Services. However, any matter that requires action will be referred to staff for report of action as subsequent committee or board meeting. As the matters of the agenda, an opportunity will be given to address the board when the matter is considered. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Letters should be used for complex issues. Is there anyone from the public, online or present, that wants to provide public comment? There's no public comment. So just for housekeeping, who do we have online? Fonseca, okay, thank you. So we'll move along now to the consent calendar. Consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial, to be acted upon by the Board of Directors as a one-time without discussion. If any board member, staff member, or interested person requests that the item be removed from the consent calendar, it shall be removed so that it may be acted upon separately. I'll enter any discussion, or I'll entertain a motion from the board related to the consent calendar. Okay.
And I'll second the motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, so anyway, April, could you call the roll, please?
Director Bender,
Aye.
Director Bateman,
Aye.
Director Couch,
Yes.
Director Mayo,
Yes,
and President Orsini.
Yes. Okay, so we'll go to so now we'll move to continue to new business. We'll start with item E1, which is on page 177. Consider and possible approval of contract with Pacific Legacy for extended phase 1 cultural resource survey of the Southern Sewer Crossing site. And General Manager Kaspari, would you like to present that item?
Thank you, President Orsini. The district has been working on the retrofit of 3 existing Highway 101 sanitary sewer crossings for several years. The 3 existing crossings were installed in 1976. Both the north and south crossings consist of 15-inch asbestos cement pipe or ACP pipe within a 32-inch steel casing, while the middle crossing is a 10-inch ductile iron pipe within a 21-inch steel casing. It is anticipated that all 3 crossings would be replaced with high-density polyethylene pipe that is more resilient to damage in a major earthquake and with a slightly larger capacity to handle larger storm event flows than the existing pipes. This long-term and independent solution will ensure MCSD can continue providing wastewater services, avoid contamination of local groundwater and streams with wastewater, and protect the integrity of Highway 101 above the crossings in the event of a major earthquake. The project is being funded in part by a FEMA hazard mitigation grant being administered by Cal OES. The district originally submitted a hazard mitigation grant application in 2018. Phase 1 of the grant was approved in early 2020. Phase 1 funded the initial design and the completion of the environmental special studies, which consisted of a wetlands delineation, a biological survey, and a cultural resource survey that were needed to complete the CEQA and NEPA permitting. These environmental studies were completed in early 2021. As part of these environmental studies, a cultural resource survey was performed at all 3 crossing locations as detailed in the report. FEMA then requested an extended phase 1 cultural resource survey for the Southern Crossing site at the end of 2022. A work plan funded by FEMA was developed by Pacific Legacy for the performance of this extended phase 1. FEMA was going to fund the implementation of the work plan, but then their on-call contract for this type of work expired, and they asked the district if they would contract for the work directly, with the understanding that it would qualify for reimbursement under the grant. The district agreed and went out to bid in December. Unfortunately, we only received 2 bids at that time, and Cal OES said we needed to go out to bid again to attempt to attain at least 3 bids. The district prepared an additional request for qualification package for the implementation of the extended phase 1 and sent it out in January of this year. Proposals were due back 3 p.m. on February 10th, and 4 proposals were received. 1 from Pacific Legacy, 1 from First Carbon Solutions, 1 from Statistical Research, Inc., and 1 from Cal Poly Humboldt, the Cultural Resources Facility. The Cal Poly proposal did not conform to the submittal requirements detailed in the RFP and was therefore deemed non-responsive. The 3 other bids were Pacific Legacy at $111,505.85. The First Carbon Solutions bid was $52,668. The Statistical Resource bid was $60,547. General Manager Kaspari, Operations Director Henry, Parks and Rec Director Frisbee, and Finance Director Alvarado were involved in ranking the proposals. The combined ranking table and the bid tabulation table are included as attachment 1 in your board packet. The review committee ranked the Pacific Legacy proposal substantially higher than either of the other two proposals. Although Pacific Legacy's cost was the highest, their understanding and proposed personnel qualifications exceeded the other respondents. Given the sensitivity of the information associated with the cultural resource survey and the sites, full copies of the proposal are not included in the board packet, but can be reviewed at the district office. The district standard professional services contract with Pacific Legacy, not including the scope, is included as attachment 2 in your board packet. So staff recommends that the board review the information provided, discuss, take public comment, find Pacific Legacy the most qualified consultant, and authorize the general manager to execute a contract and associated documents with Pacific Legacy to perform the required extended phase 1 cultural resource survey in the amount of $111,505.85 with a 10% contingency of $11,150.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have at least one question. The Cal Poly proposal did not conform to the requirements in the RSVP. Can you elaborate on why or on why they were disqualified specifically?
One of the main disqualifications is we requested that they provide examples of similar work that they had performed within the past 10 years, as well as resumes for all the people that were going to be performing the work, and they didn't provide either of those.
Okay. All right. And also, if I wanted to take a look at the full copy of the proposals, I'd have to go to the district office, or could you email that to me?
I would prefer you went to the district office. The proposal lays out all several cultural resource sites that are in that area.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some pretty sensitive cultural resources in that area. so-
Yeah, we really try not to circulate that widely.
Understood. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Before I seek a motion on this, I want to specifically, Pat had added in the language in there that, to determine Pacific Legacy to be most qualified, make sure that, that's part of your motion, whoever decides to make the motion, along with along with everything else that's in the recommendation.
I had a question about the costs.
Okay.
So they're like twice as expensive.
Yep.
Twice as good.
I think in the costs for both of the other ones, there were obvious pieces of the cost that were missing. And so I think part of the cost was that they didn't include all the necessary requirements, both the other ones. So yeah, their proposal is heads and tails above the others. And yeah, it was also hard for me to also stomach that it was twice as expensive.
Yeah, but it seems like when it comes to the the criteria understanding of the project and proposed approach, they seem to be heads and shoulders above the rest of the consultants. So I can understand that.
The rankings were awfully good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the issues with this too is that FEMA is requiring this, and so we want to make sure that we get all the data that they need in one fell swoop. Otherwise, it is going to end up costing even more to have to remobilize and go out and look at it again.
So anyway, I'll entertain a motion if there's no more discussion. Oh, yes, Director Beitman.
Yeah. One question, if you don't mind, Pat. What especially commends this organization to conduct this project for us?
They really did their homework too. They laid out all of the issues that are trying to be addressed at this site by FEMA and how those are going to be approached, as well as all the existing cultural resource site and the historical background of each of those sites and how it is shown in one location in one map and another location in another map. So it's very obviously that they fully understand what they're doing, as well as the resumes were very extensive in that it's obvious they've done this type of work all through California and all through Western United States, frankly.
Thank you. If we're ready for the motion, I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. So, April, just to verify that the motion reads that,
Determine Pacific Legacy most qualified consultant added to the
yes, added to
recommendation.
the rest of the staff recommendation. Thank you very much. Would you call the roll, please?
Director Bender,
Yes.
Director Bateman,
Yes,
Director Couch,
Yes.
Director Mayo,
Yes,
and President Orsini.
Yes. So we'll move along to item E2, which is on page 189. And this is review of information for the draft capital improvement plan for the operational funds, water, wastewater, and streetlights fiscal year 23-24. And Nicole Alvarado, would you please present this? Or are you going to be presenting this?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you. A detailed draft of the fiscal year 23-24 capital improvement plan for the water, wastewater, and street lights funds is attached, covering the next 10 fiscal years. The majority of budgeted projects are anticipated to be covered by grant, step funding, designated reserves, or operating funds covering the remaining balances. Funding for certain projects will depend on grants awarded. Smaller projects that do not meet the value threshold of fixed assets will be treated as expenses paid with operating funds. The attached narrative provides detail for all proposed capital projects expected to be undertaken in FY 23-24. The final summarized CIP will be brought back to the board for review and approval with the complete fiscal year 23-24 budget in June. So you have here in front of you the proposed CIP for the water, wastewater, and streetlights funds. And staff is prepared to answer any questions that you might have about this. It'll be brought back as part of the total budget in June.
Any questions from the board?
I've got one. On page 191, under the sewer system CIP budget, I see a line item for sludge disposal and handling. It was my understanding that there would be some cost savings down the road by not having to transport the sludge out of the area for disposal, but to treat it on site and use it in our own the fields out there. Has there been any movement on that or?
are we still on?
Okay, so I see the budget items going out to 2033, but this is revisited every year, so it could change as the plan changes.
Yeah, so right now we can't count on it. Can you hear me, Dennis?
Yeah,
Okay, right now we can't count on it until they put it into a permit and allow us to discharge it on our land. So right
Okay.
now it just doesn't exist until it exists.
Okay, that explains why it's lined out the way it is. Thanks.
So that generates a question for me. So I noticed that we have our NPDS permitting, we've got money, we're going to be spending $25,000. Is that next year's fiscal year? Is that going to be enough to pay for the engineering and stuff we're going to have to do to make sure that that's reviewed and that we can get the biosolids disposal on our facilities into the permit?
So if they approve, so we're not due to pump again for another 4 years.
Mhm.
So if they do approve it in our next permit, then we will put it in the budget or move the like budget it for that prior
Okay.
to the 4 year comes up.
Okay, so so right now we're just working on getting them to put it in the permit and then they're not asking for any special studies or anything like that before they put it in our permit?
No, we had sampling done when we did our sludge solids, which I have offered to them, and it's part of my report of waste discharge that I submitted as part of the request, and they want to look at those results, they can, or ask for more results. Plus, we did PFAS sampling on the influent, but not on the biosolids because we hadn't dredged yet, so they might ask for that on it to make their determination.
And James has completed the application already and submitted it. They've been sitting on it for almost a year now.
Yeah, and that's pretty typical. I think we went without it. We went on an interim permit for last time, almost a year last time too, so. Thank you. Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Any more questions from the board? Okay, so this is an information item, so we'll move along to item E3, which is on page 199. And that's consider attendance at the 2023 Special Districts Legislative Days in Sacramento, which will be from May 16th through half a day on May 17th of 2023. And that will be presented by Board Secretary April Souza.
The California Special District Association is sponsoring a 2-day conference. It will be held at the Sheraton Grand Sacramento Hotel, May 16th and 17th, 2023. This will give directors an opportunity to discuss policy changes impacting the district and exchange ideas with California top decision makers. Special Districts Legislative Days is the only opportunity for all types of special districts, large and small, north and south, rural and urban, to come together with one united voice. Issues like revenue, governance, labor, and public works matters to all districts, whether they provide water, sewer, fire protection, parks, libraries, or other essential services. A full brochure is still being developed by CSDA, but you can see kind of an outline on the staff report of day 1 and day 2. Day 1 is an advocacy day. Day 2 is a policy day. And Board President Orsini will be attending, I'm assuming, will be attending the conference as a requirement of his CSDA Board of Directors duties. So staff recommends that the board review the information provided, take public comment, and consider authorization for other interested board members to attend the Special District Legislative Days in Sacramento, May 16th through 17th, 2023.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
A question for Director Alvarado. Where are we at this fiscal year on our board travel?
Yeah, in my report, I actually have a line in there on that.
I think we're at like 77%.
So if you go to page 213 of your packet, you're at 11,411, which is 74% of your
74%.
allocation.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Yeah, who is anybody interested? So I would highly recommend any of the board members that have not done the process or have done the process in the past and are willing to participate in it to go. Since I'm on the CSDA Board of Directors, I'm required to be there. But it's a good event packed day and a half worth of that being there and getting to go and advocate to our legislators. So anybody who has the time, I would highly recommend that they attend.
And this year I'll leave my buck knife at home.
There you go. So you can actually get into the Capitol building.
Yes, sir.
So
I wasn't leaving my knife.
well, so they're all in flex. Their offices are all in flex locations right now because they're remodeling the Capitol. So they in the facility that they have where they're doing the flex office space at is it's pretty nice. but yes, it is. You have to go through metal detectors and all the hoopla to get in there. Anyway, did you have anything to add to this, Dennis?
No, thanks. I appreciate the conversation though.
Okay, so do we have any commitment from board members?
Oh, I'd like to go, yeah.
So we have three, Jim, no? Okay, all right. So
Okay.
there's four of us that are showing interest in that. Okay, so this is a roll call vote, so can I get a motion in a second?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve this item.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Byman. Could you call the roll, please?
Director Bender,
Yes.
Director Bateman,
Yes.
Director Couch,
Yep.
Director Mayo,
Yes,
and President Orsini.
Yes. So we'll move along to item E4. And that's consider authorizing the general manager to sign on to a coalition in support of Association of California Water Agencies sponsored bill SB 23 Caballero. This will be General Manager Kaspari will be presenting this.
Thank you, President Orsini. Aqua members are on the front lines of preparing for climate change, where daily operations and maintenance impacts are revealing the need for continued investment in California's water infrastructure. Despite the urgent need for water supply and flood risk reduction projects, the process of permitting these critical projects can result in significant delays and increased costs. SB 23 would streamline the regulatory permitting of water supply and flood risk reduction projects in 4 ways. 1, reforming the process by which an application for Section 401 water quality certification is deemed complete. 2, require the review and approval of Section 401 water quality certs and lake and streambed alteration agreements to be completed within 180 days of submittal. 3, avoid duplicate planning efforts by allowing certain watershed management plans that are already developed and implemented to be used for mitigation required through Section 401 water quality certs. And 4, allowing project applicants to voluntarily contribute resources to state permitting agencies in order to approve agencies with additional resources to meet the permitting, in order to provide agencies with additional resources. This bill, if passed, has the potential to streamline several upcoming district projects, including the upcoming Mad River Mainline Crossing Project and the Highway Sewer Crossing Project. The fact sheet, which is included as attachment 1, includes more information on SB 23 and how it would streamline the regulatory permitting process of water supply and flood risk reduction projects. So staff recommends the board review the information provided, take public comment, and consider authorizing the general manager to sign on to a coalition in support of Aqua-sponsored SB 23 Caballero.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
Does the present policy impact in any serious way any project? It sounds like the Mad River Crossing project is impacted by this.
Yeah, so both for the Mad River Crossing project, so that's the project where we're installing a redundant water line under the Mad River from Humboldt Bay to our system to our Ramey pump station. We likely are going to have to get 404 and 401 permits. So this will streamline the process for getting that 401 permit from the State Water Resources Control Board. For the highway sewer crossing projects, particularly at the most northern crossing, when that was put in, wetlands weren't an issue. So it pretty much went through the wetlands up there. And when we're doing that work, we're likely going to have to get 401 and 404 permits as well. So it should streamline our ability to get those permits, or the 401 permit, at least from the State Water Resources Control Board. This is a state, so it doesn't control the feds with the 404 permit.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I had one more, if you
sure.
don't mind.
Go ahead.
They're, how do I say, advocating for the passage of SB 23. I read what you wrote about 4 or 5 times, and it's thank you for making this issue so clear. the question, I guess, the only question that remains is how influential will our, signing on to this coalition be with regard to, passing of SB 23?
Yeah, and it's hard to judge, but and then actually I will defer to Director Mayo too with his work with Aqua, but I know that Aqua has been really looking for people to sign on and support this, and any of the legislation that they're going after, the more names that are on the piece of paper, the better.
All right. Yeah. So, Jim, just, and for everybody, that type of outreach advocacy is incredibly important. And letters are more powerful than emails, believe me. Phone calls, of course, if you can get through, are more powerful yet. But that's the kind of advocacy that is the term of art, if you will, in this industry, doing advocacy. So it is very important. Whether it works or not, well, that's a different matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to guess there's going to be some pretty significant horsepower in resistant to this bill that's going to come up. So while I applaud the efforts of Aqua and us and definitely having our logo on the support letter is definitely we owe it to our constituents because it's going to save them money. And in the way this bill's written, it's not going to degrade the environment whatsoever. But that will be what's played to keep putting money in the environmental lawyers' pockets. I'm just going to go ahead and say, anyway. So with that being said, are there any other comments or questions? Anybody from the audience? I'll entertain
Being
a
the
motion.
case, I'd make a motion to approve the item.
Thank you. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Could you please read the roll, call the roll, please?
Director Bender,
Yes.
Director Beitman,
Yes.
Director Couch, Director Mayo,
Yes.
President Orsini.
Yes. Okay, so we'll move along to item E5, which is consider authorizing the general manager to send a letter of support for Assembly Bill AB 334, and that will be presented by General Manager Kaspari.
Continuing our advocacy, many local governments have been negatively impacted by Section 1090, the California Government Code that precludes professionals such as engineers, surveyors, architects, and geologists from working on subsequent phases of public infrastructure projects if these same professionals have had any involvement in earlier phases. The required switching of firms between pre-design and funding, design and construction creates time delays and increases costs as new firms come up to speed. It also prevents firms that assist small districts such as MCSD to prepare grant applications to then bid on and perform the design work if the district receives the grant. As is reasonable and expected, firms are reluctant to help with grant applications if they can't then even bid on doing the design work. There are also not a lot of professional firms to choose from in the county, and if some are eliminated from consideration, it is even harder to find someone competent to perform necessary professional services. AB 334, sponsored by the American Council of Engineering Companies and introduced by Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio, seeks to address this issue. Attachment 1 is a draft support letter for AB 334. There is also an AB 334 fact sheet included as attachment 2. So staff recommends the board review the material provided, take public comment, and authorize the general manager to send a letter of support for Assembly Bill 334.
So to give this a little bit more pertinence and to bring it home, Pat, could you go ahead and give a real life example that the district has experienced recently with this?
Yeah, we're currently in the middle of several grant projects, including the Mad River Crossing, including the Highway 101 crossings, including the new Hewitt Tank grant that we just got approved for, where we had engineering firm help us with the grant application, and they are no longer allowed to work on it. We had, especially for the Highway 101 sewer crossing project, we had gone through a whole process, an RFQ process, to select an engineer to assist us on that project. And we selected GHD, who had also helped us with the grant application. We then finished the whole first phase of the project, and Cal OES came back and said, well, you know, you shouldn't have selected GHD to do this work, even though we went through our process of selecting a qualified consultant. And so GHD can no longer work on this project. So when they do approve the phase 2 portion of that grant, we're going to have to go through the whole process again of looking for another engineer to help us finish that project. So it's directly applicable on a number of our current projects.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
For me, I wholly support this.
Did you have anything, David?
No.
No? Jim?
Yeah, and I support this 100%, of course, and I would like to make a motion that we support, we approve this motion, this item.
Okay, we'll hold the second until everybody's had a chance to make comments.
I'm just reaching back into some of my background from years ago in which I worked with contracting and engineering firms in the state of New York. And as I read through this, I just shook my head, because the front end load, and in that case, most of their business was dealing with state institutional structures. The amount of front end load on some of these projects is just absolutely overwhelming. And the notion that somehow or other then the firm that initially would do that would be precluded from bidding on say the engineering role in the project, or the other way around, that another firm would come in and have to start over from scratch. I just shake my head. I can't comprehend how do I say, the logic of that kind of an arrangement. It just makes no sense whatsoever. I'd just like to go on record for that, just based upon years of experience of working with this kind of activity. So yes. Thank you.
So so this bill is, I think it's very much needed. I think that the interpretation of section of 1090 is all over the place, and it's never really been tested. There's no case law for this. But one of the interpretations of this of 1090 is that as long as the consultant doesn't help with the determination on most qualified, that they can participate as a consultant in various parts of the project. But a lot of firms are really gun shy about testing that. And as we found out, there's the funding agencies are very gun shy about it too. So this bill will definitely clarify that, clear the air about the ability of a consultant being able to participate in more than one part of the project. And I think that we're not the only ones that have had to deal with this. I believe, Pat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District uses GHD as their district engineer. And they actually were precluded, they couldn't, they helped write the grant for this, and then they couldn't participate as they normally would as the district engineer in the project after that. And they had to basically step away. Am I correct with that?
You are 100% correct. Humboldt Community Services District has run into the same issue. Manila CSD has run into the same issue. So it is impacting a lot of, just a local small districts, let alone the ones across the state.
Yeah, well, yeah. So if you can fill a whole hand with just the local ones, it's got to be maddening for the rest of the state also.
Yes, it
Anyway.
is.
So anyway, with that, we're looking for any more comments, questions from the board? Anybody from the audience? Okay, I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Director Beitman. So with that being, could you call the roll, please, April?
Director Binder,
Yes.
Director Beitman,
Yes.
Director Couch,
Yes.
Director Mayo,
Yes,
President Orsini.
Yes.
But I just want to say thanks to Pat for bringing these issues to the board. I think that this kind of advocacy is really valuable.
Yeah, and Director Mayo brought the Aqua one to me. And Director Orsini also frequently brings these to my attention. So thank them as well.
Yeah, I've been working, I tried to get sponsorship for what was lost now. For AB 334 for a while, and I just couldn't get any traction on it. So I'm glad that somebody finally found an assembly person that was willing to step up and sponsor the bill. Okay, so we'll move along now. We're going to move along to, I'm lost again. We're going to move along to reports. So we'll start with the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Nothing further to add to Director Frisbee's report.
Thank you. Area Fund, Kalstad and Bender.
No report.
Thank you. Redwood Region Economic Development Commission.
Redwood Region Economic Development Commission met the last Monday of the month. I attended the meeting remotely and for some reason or other lost the remote connection about 3/4 of the way through the meeting. Afterwards, I've spoken to them and they had no idea why the connection was lost, although I tried to reestablish it. Having said that, at that meeting, the annual audit was presented. And there was a presentation by a representative from Cal Poly Humboldt of their capital development project. The good news is that the auditors had no findings. They stated that the controls are all functioning and they're not calling for any modification of the operations of Redwood Region Economic Development Commission. The report by the gentleman from Cal Poly Humboldt laid out in great detail with wonderful graphics their capital improvement plan, which includes both on-campus buildings and significant, shall we say, on and off campus housing for students, which was well received by the audience. And the only question that was raised there is what they call their bridge housing. And that is to place their students into the 3 hotels in Valley West and Arcata. And that did raise a few questions. The only other thing on their agenda that they dealt with was the issue of remote attendance. And they passed a motion from It looks almost, it looks like a policy almost identical to the one that we passed at our last meeting. So there's my report.
Thank you. So McKinleyville Senior Center Board Liaison, Bender?
Yeah, well, we're plugging right along. We do miss the usage of the Hewitt Room during the renovations, but our facilitators and participants are being very patient. We look forward to it being done so that we can enjoy a nicer facility. So thank you, Proposition 68 and Parks and Rec.
I saw the picture of the Tai Chi class outside. All right, so we have the Audit and Finance Committee. Have we met since the last board meeting? No? Dave? Oh, Brightman. Oh, that's right. It's Brightman now. I'm sorry. We haven't met. That's right.
We did not meet.
I just thought of something. I don't know if we can go back and change it, but I should have abstained during the consent calendar because I don't know how that would work because I wasn't here for the minutes. Okay.
So yeah, so you can vote on the minutes. That's fine.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
So the audit committee, we didn't meet, Jim? Did not meet the employee negotiation?
We did not meet.
Okay. The McKinleyville Municipal Advisory Committee, Orsini, and we met and we were working on the town center Q overlay or Q ordinance for the town center ordinance. And we made it through we made it all the way to section 4.2. We postponed the rest of it at 4.2. So we made it through 4 and 4.1. And then we stopped at 4.14. And we're going to take that up again at the next McMac meeting. And then we did cover a few other things during that meeting. Can't remember what it was though. I stopped writing after that.
Yeah, we talked quite a bit about the AB 2449.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
On that.
That's right. So so the McMac is going to, we decided that since it was proposed and we went along with it, that since to be in sync with what the county's policy is on 2449. So we'll basically be abiding by the same policy as the County Board of Supervisors. Was there anything else for the McMac? The ad hoc committee for community forest. We met. And we discussed we'll be bringing a policy back to the board for approval for that committee. I believe our timeline for bringing that back is in.
I think we wanted to wait until the land actually transferred.
Right. Yeah, we decided to wait until the land transfer happened. But it's in draft form. If anybody's interested in that, I'm sure staff could provide that. If you wanted to take a look at it now. And that was really all we really talked about during the meeting. Did Pat or James or Leslie, did you have anything else you'd want to add to the Forest Committee meeting? Oh, and Nicole has joined us for those meetings now too. Nicole, would you like anything that you'd like to add? Okay, thank you very much. So item F.2 is legislative and regulatory reports. Before we move into that, I would like to recognize Supervisor Madrone and see if Supervisor Madrone would had anything that he would like to contribute.
Thank you, President Orsini. I just wanted to let you know if I can be of any help with support letters for those two legislative efforts. Be more than happy to provide letterhead support letters if I could get a template. And if you want them to come from the whole board, if there is time, please let me know and we could get it on the agenda. But if not, I can still provide one as an individual board member. So just want to lend that support because I agree completely. And, you know, it's been a problem with the county too, when we can't hire the engineers who have helped us do things. So let me know if I can be of any help with that. Thank you, President Orsini.
Thank you Supervisor Madrone. So now we'll move along. Any board members have anything related to legislative or regulatory reports?
I think I'll wait and do my report when I'm back next month. There's quite a lot, and I think it's more than we need tonight.
Okay, yeah, since it looks like we're scheduled to break a record, we'll defer till next meeting. Thank you, Director Mayo. Anybody else? So anyway, we'll move to staff reports. Finance and Administrative Department, Finance Director, I don't know why I'm having a hard time with your name tonight. Alvarado.
Oh, you got it.
Alvarado.
You got it.
Alvarado.
Yeah, I just have one correction I wanted to point out in the treasurer's report. If you go to page 14 of your agenda packet, there's a little box on that worksheet that says the number of months remaining in the year. As you move forward in the year, that number goes down. I made it go up. So the column that says year-to-date budget is incorrect because it feeds off of a calculation. It's not material to your information because the actuals are in fact the actuals and you have the annual budget. But if anyone would like a revised copy of that page, I'd be happy to provide it to you. And that's all.
The only thing that really, that box just to the left of it, the percent of the year remaining, does it affect that number?
Yeah.
That's the only number it really affects on the whole page, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Okay. I didn't catch it when I looked at it, so. Thank you for clarifying that. And was that it?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Operations Department. Operations Director Henry. Wait, could you speak into the microphone, please?
I have a box on 218 that I didn't populate either. Just kidding. I have nothing further to add. I'm not going to call out my errors.
Thank you. Let's see, Parks and Rec Director Frisbee.
Nothing further to add.
Thank you. General Manager Kaspari.
A couple things to add. Like I alluded to earlier, we just were notified that our Hewitt tank replacement project, that grant has been approved by Cal OES. So we'll be replacing the two redwood tanks up on top of McCluskey Hill with hopefully two bolted steel tanks. And so we'll start that process soon. We're actually going to go out for RFQ to find an engineering firm to assist us with that. Probably go out next week on that and bring it back. I don't know if we'll make the April board meeting, but the May board meeting definitely. And speaking of April board meetings, I also want to remind you, we are going to have a special board meeting on April 12th to approve, hopefully, the construction contract for the 4.5 million gallon tank project. We had the pre-bid meeting on that this week, and we got a lot of interest. A lot of contractors showed up. And strategic plan meetings.
That's on Monday, right? Monday, the 10th. Monday, April 10th is the strategic plan meeting.
So April will be busy. April's always busy. I have nothing further to add.
Thank you. So now we'll move along to President's report. At this point in time, we've had a we've had a inquiry from Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District. We need to fill the water task force, a person on the water task force. And I've given this a little bit of thought, and I think I would like to, if Director Mayo doesn't have any problems with it, I'd like to appoint him to the water task force.
That's fine.
Okay, so could you note that, please? Thank you. Board, so now we'll move along to board member comments, announcements, reports, and agenda item requests. Anything? Oh, are you? Oh, congratulations. Wow. Wow.
So Greg, that's not coming through on the mic. Could you repeat it, please?
Oh, Director Couch just announced that he's going to be retiring from Arcata, the city of Arcata, on this Friday, tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
33 years.
33 years.
Wow. Well,
A faithful
congratulations,
service.
Dave.
That comes up to 90%.
Oh.
Now your honeydew list job will really get started.
So anyway, any other announcements or reports, agenda item requests? I just had one. I mentioned this earlier in the year, or maybe it was even last year, that so we're going to be getting into the operating budgets now for the Parks and Rec and the operations department. I was hoping that we could get an agenda item from the finance director related to sort of fixed costs, like what the COLA increase is going to be this year, what our increase is going to be for the workman's comp, our CalPERS for both the PEPRA and the classics, and the insurance, our health insurance and things like that. If we could have a separate or have it as part of either one of the agenda items for either one of the two, the operations or the Parks and Rec department.
Yeah, so Finance Director Alvarado and I were talking about that today, and she has worked up all those numbers, and I had suggested that we do it as under the same agenda item as the Parks and Rec operations budget that's coming to you next month. And so she'll, that budget will show how they really impact the budget, but she'll have those broken out on a separate table as well, showing how much they have increased.
Cool. That'll work perfectly. I think that's a very appropriate time to discuss that. Now, will that be for the Parks Department and then for the Operations Department, or will it just be as for the whole?
It'll just be the Parks and Rec department for
Okay.
next month.
For next month, and then we'll do the Operations Department when we do the
Right.
operation. Okay, very good.
Right.
Anything else? I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn and thank Joey for getting this technology fixed for me. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Joey. I'm sure that was a Herculean task. No offense, Dennis.
Well, maybe not for him, but for me, it would be worse than Herculean. It would be a crash.
All right. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.